Hello guys, welcome to Subhra the Geek. I am your host Subhra. I would like to welcome you to the second day of the Python tutorial series on YouTube, where we will learn Python in 7 days very fast, free and professionally, so that you can code basic Python like a professional Python programmer within 7 days. Without further ado, let's jump to the VS Code, where I have written the code for you today, and I will just be running and explaining each and every nook and cranny of the code so that you can understand it better. So let's jump. So guys, we are in the VS Code studio. Virtual Studio Code. Again, I made the same mistake which I did in the last video. So I have written all the things which we will be talking today. And today we'll be talking about 7 things. That is more on data types, lists, tuples, set, dictionary, range, loops, for and while. So last day I made a big loss of time utilizing this, like writing the code and all. I have a very bad writing speed. So today we'll be directly jumping into the code. I have written each and every code, and this is given in the description box down below in the GitHub page where you can find the code. It is properly documented. You can take it from there. And let's begin, shall we? So the first thing we are going to talk about is more on data types. So let me copy this part. So okay, sorry for that. So none data type. There is a concept called none data type in Python, which is null. Actually, if an object, as I told you earlier in our Python series the last day, that everything in Python is an object. When the Python interpreter does not find the copy of the object in the memory, what it returns a none type or null type. The null type is called none in Python. So I have written a code over here, very basic. This you will be understanding more when you go on classes on tutorial sessions on classes and functions, where I will be giving each and everyone at that place you'll be learning much more about none data type and how this one plays a very important role in Python. So if a is equals to none or a is equals to none, say for example an object returns a none type, then if a is none, it will print none value, or else it will print value exists. This is a very basic code. It will return none value, and if the value exists, then it would return that value exists. So this is operator. This is the operator in Python. This is called membership operator. This membership operator checks whether a value, a variable, or a value is present in a list, or a variable is present in the memory or not. So if something is a part of something, that is checked by the keyword is in Python. So let's move on to the next part of the code where I will be talking. So this is okay. So let's copy this. Control C, Control A, Control V, Control S. Okay. So I have defined 3 variables over here, B, F, and C. So as I told you earlier also in Python, how the interpreter reads the value. Okay, it reads on the right side first. Always it reads on the right side that 5 of what type 5 is? 5 is of type int. So our type of int 5, a value of 5 of type int is stored in B. Is stored in some place of the memory, and that memory is being pointed to B. So when we print B, it prints the result 5. And similarly for F and C. So here I have defined 3 types of numeric values which we generally find in Python. Those are integer, floating point, and complex number. Complex number I forgot to say in the last video. So today I am saying complex number, where you can put any j, k, any value over here, and it takes it as a complex. Or you can create a complex number by assigning a complex over here, this function d is equals to complex. Okay, and args and quarks, you don't need about that, I will tell you later. Args and quarks, so you pass 1, 2 and it will give a complex number. Okay, so let's run this. So this was given like 5 of type int, 3 plus 5, 5.3j of class complex, and 6.3 of class float. Okay, so on D I will print it over here. Control this. See, 1 plus 2j. We can create a complex number by calling the class also. Like integer, we can call it over here int, and it will create the class. No issues. And if no sign is given over here, it would take all the things as positive. That's by default. So let's move on to the next example. So guys, don't worry, each and everything is listed below in the file which is on GitHub, and you can find the link in the description below. So we are going to talk about Boolean a bit more. So we can see that 10 is always greater than 5, and if 10 is so in this line, what it will do, if 10 is greater than 5, it will return a Boolean value. So if 10 is greater than 5, yes, 10 is greater than 5, so it will return the true value in bool, and it will print bool as true, and type of bool over here. And if this was less, I will be checking it, it will be returned false, it will be returning false. So let's run this. Yeah, see, oh sorry for that, didn't save it. So see, true, type of class Boolean. Okay, now we will be writing less than. Okay, less than, let's see, control save. I'm just gonna clear this up. Okay, so it's returned false, type of class Boolean. So this was another thing which I forgot to talk about Boolean in the last class. And let's go on to the examples of set now. So set in Python. So what is a set? As we know in mathematical definition, set cannot be defined, but but the proper accepted definition of set is, a set is a unique collection of objects, unique collection of elements, in which unique collection of elements. Okay, so I have defined two sets, S and S1. So when we print S, it will be printing this in this fashion, or any format. If it may change, but let's see what happens when we print S1. It has three 20s inside it and two 10s. So what will this print? Let's see. So see, this prints in a haphazard fashion because the Python compiler does it so. This I will tell you in the more advanced section, which I will be discussing after the 7 classes. So how this one does, how set is printed over here and all, I will be telling you all. So see, S and S1, they are defined differently, but they are printing the same value. Why? I told you, set has a unique instance of each and every element. So here 10 has 2 instances and 20 has 3 instances. Instead, in place of that, it has taken only 1 instance for 10 and 2 instances for 20. And thus, it has printed the same values over here. So, this is the very basic thing which you need to remember, that set has only unique elements and none more. So, while you are defining a set, you must always remember that you must give unique elements, and set has only unique elements. This is very much useful for finding the unique elements inside a list. We will be doing that after the 7 classes which I will be talking about the basics. After that, we will be talking a lot about these things, like why a set is required, why we use set, and how we can use set in much more details and all, while we will be doing data analysis, data science and all. So that time set is required much more, and so I wanted to give you an idea of set. Always remember that set has always unique elements and not more than that. I know I am speaking a bit faster, so I am sorry for that again. So set always has unique elements, and it will be storing only unique elements. So if you want to find unique elements inside a list of numbers, a range of numbers, you can use a set in place of in that case, and that is a very basic use case of set. So I think we are clear with set. Now let's move on to strings. So last day I talked about the basics of strings, like how 2 strings can be concatenated and how 2 strings can be shown, and an input is a string always, and all that. Today we are going to talk about a bit more, like I'll tell you how to embed a string inside another string, and how to access different elements of a string. So last day I forgot, I didn't tell that, I didn't forget. but I didn't tell that. So today we are going to talk about that. So guys, this pops up a lot. I don't know why this is popping up. I don't know. And let's close this. So I have defined two strings, s1 stg underscore YouTube, and in s2 we will be having stg underscore YouTube. In this stg is in the capitals, and this in stg is in the lower form, and we have defined like in double quotes and single quotes. For now, for basic things, you keep this thing in the mind, that double quotes and single quotes in Python, for very basically, for basic things you understand that they are same. For advanced, when we will be talking about advanced Python, we will be learning, like when we will be going into a much advanced level of Python, we will be learning why this thing happens and what are the different things about two double quotes and single quotes in Python. So let's run this example. I forgot to save it. Yeah, let's run it. So stg YouTube. So it has printed with a space over here and with an indentation. This is called escape sequence. Anything which with a slash in front, then a value is called a escape sequence. So basically you need 3 to 4 escape sequence. That's slash n, slash t for tab. Like when you place a tab on the keyboard, the amount of space you get, it is done by slash t, and double slash for printing the slash. So these are the things which you needed to know, and nothing more. And if we need more, that's in the advanced part and not in this part. Now say for example we want to print a string, we want to embed a string inside a string. So we want to print, basically we want to print a string inside a string. And how will we do that? So you see in st we are writing, my name is Subhra, I am your host. So this Subhra is inside, this is another string inside a string. So this thing, if we write only a single string over here, this will have a error. So what we do, we know that this is used for what? This is this triple quotes is used for commenting, multi-line comment in Python, and this can be used for like having a paragraph in a string, or having this kind of stuff in a string, like embedding a string inside a string. So if I print this again, this will have the same value and nothing else. See, with some spaces, because I have given some spaces over here. And let's now talk about how to access different characters of the string. So as we saw over here, like st1 at the index 1, so we should always remember that in Python or most of the programming languages, index starts from 0 and it goes up to the length of the variable or length of the string minus 1. So at the index 1, what is the value of the variable? So how will you do that? So how to find that? So at 0 we have m, at 1 we have y. So at 1 it is printing y, and 3 we have space, 2 we have space, and 3 we have n. If we write 3 over here, it will print n. And see, let's check this out. I'm just gonna clear this up. So see, it is printing n. Now we can do another thing that I'll be talking about after I am done with list slicing. So for now, you remember a string is nothing but an array of characters, a list of characters. So it can be accessed like how we can access a list. So I'll be talking about list in a jiffy, like in after one or two examples, and at that time I'll be talking about list slicing, and same thing can be applied on strings too. And for that I'll be taking this example again, and I'll be showing you how this thing is done on strings, how that slicing is done on strings. So I told you Python is like a very fast language, and we can do a lot of things in Python. So now we are gonna go in lists. So I have written a lot of things about lists. So let's start with this thing. So in Python, the thing is that the most robust and most important data structure of Python is list. You can take it as an at very basic level, you can take it like in Python the most important and most useful data structure is list. So I have defined a list. You can define a list very easily by giving the values inside a third bracket, and list has a heterogeneous data type. Like you can have integer, floating value. Let me define a floating value over here, 3.5. Yeah. That's a floating value. I have defined a floating value inside this list. So it can have an integer, it can have a floating value, it can have a boolean, it can have a string, it can have a character, anything inside a list. So if you want, you can define a complex number also. 3 plus 5j. Yeah, that is a complex number and you can define that inside a list. So let's see how this one does. So this statement, like print L1, it will print the value of the list. And this len is a function in Python. It finds the length of any variable which is passed inside it. If you give it generally works for string, list, dictionary, tuple, etc. and so on, sets and all. So if you pass the value inside the parameters of this function length, like L1 is passed over here, and this will find the length of the list L1. So how many elements are there? While calculating length, it doesn't take the index into account. It does from 1. Like in index we calculate from 0, but in length it calculates from 1. So the length of this list will be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So 7 elements are there in this list. So it will be showing the length as 7. So how to access an element of a list. So accessing this I will be talking about a bit later. So let me cut this part out and let me print this. So see, we have printed all the things in the list over here, and we have found the length of the list as 7. So let me paste that back again and let me close this. Yeah. So how to access any element. So last time lastly when I was discussing strings, I told you like string is also treated as a list in Python. And now how to access the element. So at indexes, while accessing elements, it takes into account index. So how indexes are done? So it starts from 0. So at 0th index of list 1, the value 10 is placed. At first index of list 1, 20 is placed, and so on, and at the 6th index, since it starts from 0, it will go to length minus 1 of the total value of the list. So at index of 6, that is length 7 minus 1, that is 6, it will have the value true. So let's check what we have at the value 2 over here. So value 2, let me give you again a reminder that this is 0, this is 1, this is 2. So it will have a complex number 3 plus 5j. So let me run this. Yeah, see 3 plus 5j is printed over here. Now let's talk about list slicing. So what is the list slicing? List slicing is a very important concept in Python, and it can be applied on lists, strings, tuples, sets, anything, any data structures in Python. And mind you, string is as well as a data type and also a data structure in Python and in any language. So on string this can also be applied. So list slicing is when we write colon inside this list. So okay, in the indexes of the list. So how to access an element, I told you, like list, in the third bracket you pass the value of the variable, that's index of the variable where you want to access. So in list slicing, what happens, we pass two or three values separated by colons. So for two values, what happens, the first value represents from where you want to start your indexing, like where you want to start getting the value. So I am starting at 1, that's 20, then 2 is 3 plus 5j, then 3 is 3.5, and 4 is a. So it will go up to the last one, colon the last one. This is the start, colon end. End, it will not go to end, but a number before end. So it will go from 20. It will take the first element, which is specified over there, and it will then go to the second element, and it will go on until it reaches the last but one element. Since, say for example, we can take this very basic example. We have 10, 20, 3 plus 5j. So this is 0, 1, 2, 3, 4. So it will go from 20, since 1 is given over here, 20 it will take, 3 plus 5j it will take, and 3.5 it will take. At the fourth index we have a, it will not take a. You can understand, like it is a very basic concept which has been embedded in Python by the creators, like that it will go from the first which is specified, and it will go up till but the last element which is specified at the end position. So let's run this, we will see. Yeah, 20, 3 plus 5j, 3.5. Okay, so let's close this, and in the next part I have given a step size. So at the if we do not give any step size, it will go from it will have a step size of 1. Like it will take 20, then the next element, we can increase the step size also. So how can we increase? We have to place another colon over here, and this one is for the step size. So step size is nothing but it will like count 2 elements and then it will take the next element. So this is the first element, this and it will skip this element. This is 1, this is second. So it will take the second position and it will print it. Okay, so let's see. Yeah, it does. It does print it over here. So it is a very basic example which we can see, and see, this is so how to print the last element. So in Python we have this this very basic, this is a very good concept in Python. So if we write minus, so this is taken as, this minus will be subtracted from the length of the list. So the length of the list was 7 minus 1, that is 6th. So minus 1 will be pointing to that index which is length minus 1. So this is analogous, completely analogous to printing length L1, length of sorry for that. So this is completely analogous to print L1 in the bracket, that index of, or in the bracket we tell it as index of length minus 1, that is 7 minus 1, 6. So at 6 we can see true value is present over here, so we can write true over here. So we can do it minus, say for example minus 3, and check out what is the value over here. So minus 3 is 1, 2, 3. So it will print A, and it is printing A. So you can understand, wherever you like, whenever you write a variable like this, a minus with a minus in front in a list, so index is taken as negative. So negative is nothing but the length minus that number. So this is basically length minus n, which will happen over here. N is the number which will be passing over here after the minus sign. So are we clear? We are clear on this part. If you have any questions, please do comment or follow me on my social media handles given below. And I'll love to read your comments and give you answers to each and every question which you have, each and every query which you have. So let's go to the next example. So now we'll be talking about range. Range is a very important function in Python. So using range, you can generate a range of numbers with a single line, and range of numbers that can be converted to list. So I'll be talking about each and everything. So let's go for this range. So range, okay, to this part it's range, okay. So range function, the syntax of range function is nothing but it accepts a start index, it accepts a stop index, and it accepts a step size, whose default step size is 1 always. As if we don't give any step size, it will take it as a default of 1. So let's save this and run this, and let's see the type of what type of variable range is. Okay, so sorry for that. So it has defined a range from 0 to 10. So it is of class range. Now how can we see the variables in what is in the list? So for that I have defined over here. So what we need to do, we need to just convert this range into a list. So we now over here we can convert anything, any given number into a list by very easily passing that variable in the list function. The list is a function. It is the default or constructor. When I'll be talking about classes in Python, that is in the next day, which I will be talking on Wednesday, classes, functions and classes. So classes have constructor, and when we pass this is initialized as a list object of the class list. So I also told you at the very beginning that in Python always the right side is executed first, then the left side. So on the right side it is written as list of LST, so it will convert this list LST of type range to list first, and then it will assign that LST back to LST itself. So we are not hampering the variable's value over here. So let me print this. So I have printed this. Yup. Okay, so let me print this. Okay, print lst. So let's save it, and now we can see the value. So we can see the value. So as we saw earlier that lst is of class type range, and it's of range 0 to 10. So what are the values inside it? The values are nothing but 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 up to 9. So again, I told you at the very beginning while slicing that it goes from the start position to stop -1 position, and it will create that range, that list of that size. Now if we change the step size to 2, say for example, so I'm just going to save it and just going to clear this and then run it. So we can see 0, 2, 4, 6, 8. So all the numbers which are skipped are like, so 1 is skipped, then 2 is printed, then 3 is skipped. So at each value 1 is skipped, or at the second value, at the second instance. So this is taken as 0, 0 is taken as the first, and then the second is 1, and then the number excuse me for that excuse me. So then the number that is 1, that is 2, that is taken, and after 2 is taken as 1, then 3 is taken as 2, and the 4 is the third element after the second step. So it is taken and it is stored. So like this will go on until the list is until the range is exhausted, until the range reaches stop. Okay, so now let's give out these functions I have written. So updating, yeah. So we'll talk about, okay, we'll run it at a go only. No, let me go with this. Okay. So updating elements of a list. We can directly update elements of a list. We can directly update an element of a list. How we can do that? We saw that we have a list over here. At the third element, at the third index, we had 4 over there. And we'll be seeing that very, very soon now. And we have 4 over there. And just a second. So yeah. At the third index, we have 4 over there. Now I want to change that to 40. So what I do, I mention the element 40 is equals to 40 at the third index of the list. So at list of third index, I am specifying the element 40. So that 4 will be overwritten to 40 now, and it will be showing the change just now. See, yeah, see. Okay. So it prints that. Okay, I didn't save it, sorry for that. I thought, what's the problem with this? Yeah. Now you can see that it is changed to 40. So the 23 and 45 I'm going to talk in the next part. So what we can do, we can also, like, let me decrease the step size first, and then it will be easier for you to understand. So let's run this again. So we have this element 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 up to 9. Now we change the fourth element, that is 0, 1, 2, 3. 3 is changed to 40, and 4, 5, 6 is as it was. Now we want to change the elements 3 to 5. This is 0, 1, 2, third element to the fifth index. Third index to the fifth index with our specified value. So the third index we had 40 over here. So we had 40 over here, and that we want to change to 23, and the fifth index which we had 4, we want to change it to 45. We can do that easily by the slicing which we talked just above, like list slicing. We pass the slicing over here, and after it is sliced, it will change the value which we will be passing after the slicing part. So we are passing 23 and 45 after slicing, and it will update the value of that part to 23 and 45 in the next part. I will be printing the same. Okay. So if we want to change multiple instances, say for example third, fifth, and seventh index with 3 values, we cannot do that. We can pass either a slice. We can only change parts, like passing a slice. So I talked about slicing, list slicing. So we are passing a slice of the list, and it can be changed. But we cannot pass multiple values. This in Python is taken as a tuple, and this is a wrong. So let me write this. This is wrong. So let me modify it in the let me modify it in this part. This is wrong. So this won't execute. This won't execute, and this will give an error. And we can directly reverse the elements in the list with the function. There is a function in list called reverse.reverse, list.reverse. It will reverse the list and it will store it in the same list. Now if we run this, we have a reverse list over here. See, the list was 0, 1, 2, 3, 23, 45, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. It is completely reversed now. 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 45, 23, 2, 1, 0. And that's a very beauty of Python. There are much more things written in Python which we use to code in other languages. So we can do that. Now, we all know about stacks, and that can be implemented using list in Python. Very basically, there are functions for implementing stack using list in Python. Like list has list, the class, this is a class, obviously list is always a class, and that class, so let me print it. Let me check the type of this list now. Sorry, I just hit the shift enter, and if you hit shift enter in Visual Studio Code, sorry for that again, Visual Studio Code, it will, if you hit shift enter, it will open the terminal with interactive Python shell, which I showed you, like writing Python in any terminal, it will show you. So type of LST, if we do this, it will give out a class. List is a type of a class. See, class list. Now list is a class, as I told you. So this class has some predefined functions, and this predefined functions are very useful, and using like reverse was a predefined function of the list class, and there are many more functions. I will talk about more of them in the advanced classes of list, which we'll be doing after the 7 classes. So in list we have very basic functions which we need to know for the very basic of Python. So in this part I'm going to talk about all of them, like what are the functions we need, and what are the very basic functions which we can implement and which can give us the result we are looking for. For that we are going to talk about using a list as a stack. So a list has many functions which can be used to make a list act as a stack. So we will be printing this list once again, and then we'll be appending. Appending is nothing but push, which we did, like adding an element at the very end of stack. It can be done by a simple command append in Python, and it appends a variable, any value like of type integer, of type float, of type complex, of type string, of type boolean. It can be appended in list, since list is a heterogeneous data type. So it can be appended in list, and then I will be printing that list, and for popping that list, for popping an element, pop the last element. It will delete that element and it will show the value. So let's do that. Let's run this code. Yeah. So we can see that this is the list which we have, and at the last very end we are adding an element, that is 25 over here. So we are popping 25, so 25 is appended, 25 is pushed inside the list in the stack. If we consider this as a stack, at the very top we are now pushing 25, and 25 will be popped at the very pop function. Pop cannot be called an index. It can be called an index. I will be showing you at the list class, which I will be doing after the 7th class. I am always talking about that. I will be showing each and everything about that. List and tuples and dictionary, I will be talking much more, like I will taking an hour for each to talk, and these are so beautiful in Python that it takes more than hours to talk. So it is like popping the last element of that list, so that 25 is popped, and we are showing that list again. So you see 25 is popped, and as in a stack we pop that element and we delete that space, and the same thing is done over here in Python lists. So let's go to the next examples, which is, excuse me guys, I am completely unwell, but I wanted to take this class and I love talking to you guys, as you know from my first video, so I am doing it. I am very much unwell. I have like the whole of the day I couldn't stand up. I was so sick. So I'm sorry for everything. But since I wanted to talk to you guys, and it is like I have made a promise to you guys that I will be showing the videos on every Monday, Wednesday and Friday. So I am doing it. So we talked about lists as a stack. Now we are going to talk about concatenation of two or more lists, more than two lists. It can be done very easily. Like we had defined list 1 and list LST, and we can add those two lists and it will show a complete list. I have defined a new list over here in a single line, which I did over here using 2 lines, this range and list. So I did it over here in a single line. It is very easy to do. And then it will be printing that, and I'm creating another list of L5, which will have this kind of properties, like 2 lists are added over there, the elements of 2 lists. I will be showing each and every one, don't worry. So let me cut this part out and let's save this and print it. Yeah. So let me, yeah. So now we had that L1 as 1020A STG and true. Yeah. And this last one we had was 98765 45 23 22 1 and 0, and these 2 lists are added. Those 2 lists are concatenated, and this is concatenated in the manner like the first list is first concatenated, since I have given the command of concatenating the first list first, and then the second list is concatenated. This plus operator is overloaded. This plus operator is overloaded in this case. How it is overloaded? The plus is generally used for adding 2 numbers. Now it can be also applied on list strings, where it is used for concatenation. Concatenation is nothing but adding of 2 lists or 2 strings. So this is also done in list 5, where we have added list 4 and LST. And list this one list of from starting to 75, like starting to ending, that is start is 45 and end is 75, and a 10-step increment is done. So the list will be 45, 55 and 65. 75 won't be taking this, since this is the last number, and we go up to the last number but 1. We don't go to the last number, but we go to the 1 number before the last number. So this is added. See, L4 is 45, 55, 65, that is added, and then the LST, which was 98765 45 23 210, that is added. So you can see concatenation can be very easily done in lists. And now let's talk about the member. How to check the member. So hello guys, sorry for that, sorry for the weird cut. I was not feeling well, so I had to take a break. So now let's check whether the member of a list. How we can do that? We can do that very easily by this inbuilt keyword called in. In is a keyword which checks if an element is present in the, this is not 15, this is L5, list 5. So if an element is present in a list, or if an element is present in a given range, or if an element is present inside a string, that we can do by the very basic command that's in, and it is so like we say, like the way we say if it is in, so we do that same in Python. So I'll be running this code and showing you. So let's run this one. Yeah, let's run this one. Yeah. So you see this is 45 is there in L5, so it shows, now for this is L5 and 45 is there over here, so it shows true. Okay, and see this is a very basic difference of list and set. So in list we do not have, we have repetition of an element, that 45 is repeated over here twice, but in set we saw that we cannot repeat any elements. So that's a very basic difference of list and sets. We will be talking more in, I told you, after this 7 days. So again, let me paste this thing. Yeah. So now we have learned about the sorting algorithms, and we do in other languages what we do, we have to write the complete code for the sorting algorithms, and using that code for sorting algorithms we sort an element in a list or array. So in Python you can take list as an array. In Python basically array is defined using numpy, and we'll be talking about numpy and all in after this classes. So like say for example list is an array, and this array needs to be sorted. This can be done in Python by using a single line, only a single line, like dot sort of the list class. It is defined over there. The creator of the list class, Tim, and he invented a sort in 2002, and it is called Tim sort, which is used in lists, and it is like somewhat like to the quick sort which we do, and it has a complexity of n log n time. So we can sort it in ascending order. If we do not pass any argument inside the parentheses of the sort function, it will sort the list in ascending order. If we do pass the argument of reverse is equals to true, then it will reverse the list, like it will take that argument and convert and sort that list in descending order. So let me run this part of the code and let us see. So let me make this large. Yeah, see, in ascending order this list will be 0, 1, 2, 3, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 23, 45, 45, 55, 65 in descending order, which is done by just passing reverse is equals to true in the sort function. It reverses, it sorts the list in descending order, and this is done via 65, 55, 45 and so on. So that's a very basic thing. That's the beauty of Python. More and more things are written in Python, which was not there in like other languages. So repetition of a list. Guys, I always tell this, and I have told you earlier also, in Python everything is treated as an object. So an object when multiplied, what it does, it replicates itself. So here list is also an object. L3 is a object of the class list. So list L3. So let me talk about something like object. What is an object? For now you take it from the next class I will be talking about object a bit more. For now you take it, object is any instance which you can physically feel. Like this phone is an object, and the plan which was made for the phone was a class. So you take this example, and when this class is realized and this phone was made and manufactured, this became an object. So an object is an instance of a class. An object has memory. An object is something which we can touch, like this mouse, like this phone which we can touch as an object, but this object does take up memory spaces. So this can be done. This will print the list 3 times because I have multiplied L with 3. So it will print the list 3 times. Since it is an object, it will check that okay, this object is multiplied 3 times, so the memory space is multiplied 3 times, and it will print that memory space 3 times. See, same thing is done 3 times, not once, not twice, but 3 times it is printing. Okay, so this was the list, and it is printed 3 times over here. It will be a list only. So then we have this minimum and maximum of a list, and minimum of or maximum of a list, which we used to do using if A is greater than B, or if B is greater than C in a inside loop. In other languages, which it can be done using a single command in Python. Again, this is the beauty of Python, so fast, always written everything. So minimum can be found using, minimum is a function of the general class which is called, when we write any Python program, it is the basic class which is called, and in that base class the minimum function is defined, and when we pass any element, like any list or any values which have the similar data type. Say for example, we cannot pass list of heterogeneous types in minimum, and then it will show an error. We can pass a string because all the characters all are in the character form, and it will check for the ASCII value. Here it will be checking for the numeric value, since this one is a numeric list, so it will show a minimum and maximum of the numbers. So here it is showing the minimum of the list is 0 and the maximum is 65. We can directly see that since we have arranged the list in descending order, we can directly see it from here. And if it was a haphazard list also, it will be showing the same. So guys, now we can another important thing, that's a very basic thing which we need to know, and in details we'll be talking about in later, multi-dimensional lists. So multi-dimensional list is nothing but which we have in DDA, double dimensional array, which we used to do. It's like that, it has more than one dimension, like one row, like n rows, m columns, and it can have n row, m column can be one page. Like say for example you have a book and you have one page of 13 centimeter cross 20 centimeter, and you have a book which has say for example, let me give you a book. So I have a book over here, it has 3000 pages, and not 3000, 1000 pages, and this 1000 pages is the size of the complete array. And in Python we can directly implement the multi-dimensional array, and it is done by nothing but its list of lists. So here we have each and every row is a list over here, and each and every column is like, each and every row is a list, and each and every column is a part of any of the lists which are the rows. So that's how a multi-dimensional array is created. And if we have, like we have created one over here, so let me print it and show it to you guys. Like this will be looking like this. Now if we have this in multiple forms, Control C, comma, Control V, then we'll be having like two lists, like a multi-dimensional list. So what will be the dimension? So we can see the first one was 2 cross 3, it was 3 rows cross 2 columns, and the second one will be 3 rows cross 2 columns. So the same dimension has to be there, and it is of order 2, like we have two lists on one after another. So if we run this, we can see two lists over here, and each list has a part of list. So this is a multi-dimensional list. So when I'll be talking about list in much detail, so I'll be talking about all of them, so don't worry about that. So let me copy this, and so now we'll be discussing tuples. So let me copy and paste this here. So that's the basic thing which we needed to understand about lists in Python. Now I'll be talking about tuples and dictionaries. Now let's first talk about tuples. Tuples is another very important data type in Python, data structure in Python. It's a type of structure in Python. So how to create a tuple? A tuple can be easily created by having a first bracket. When we have first bracket is for tuples, second bracket is for sets or dictionaries, which we will be talking a bit later, and then we have third bracket which are for lists. So you understand the difference of brackets makes a different data structure in Python. So now how to create a tuple? An empty tuple can be created, a list can also be created, an empty list can also be created. I haven't shown you, but let me show you. L is equals to an empty list, print L, L1 is equals to list of one element, and let me print L1 also, empty L1. Okay, so these are the two things I haven't written over there. Let me update it over there also. So guys, this is the thing which we can do in Python. We can create an empty list by just assigning empty first bracket to t. It will create a tuple of empty tuple. In t1 we have one element. In one element tuple you have to pass a comma, or else it won't be taken as a tuple. That's the basic syntax of tuple. Tuple is also of type of heterogeneous data type, and it has multiple types of values like integer, floating numbers, and what is this called, string, and all. Each and everything is there in tuple. Let me run this and show you. So we have an empty tuple, a single element tuple, we have multi-element tuple of heterogeneous types, a single a list with an empty list, and we have a single element list. So these are the things on tuples. And other things on tuples, let me copy this. Okay, so now we can access the elements of tuple in the same way we can access the elements of a list. It behaves as a list, but it is not a list. It is difference is there. Tuples are immutable. Like once the value of a tuple is written, we cannot change the value of a tuple, and list we can change how many times we want. So this is the very basic difference of tuple. Tuples are immutable while lists are mutable, and tuples take less memory than lists. So tuples are much faster. And we have generator now. That's advanced Python. In advanced Python, when I'll be doing advanced Python, I'll be talking about generators and all. When we are performing a generator on tuple, it will be much faster on comparing to a list. So accessing an element of a tuple, it is similar, analogous, completely analogous to that of a list. So we have the tuple T2, where we had 1020 minus 3 4.5 STG YouTube. So at the second element 0 1 2 indexing also is there, obviously index. So we pass the index of 2 at the second index. What value is there? So at index 2 we have minus 3, so it will print minus 3. And similarly it is analogous to tuple print so T2 of len of T2. The similar thing which we did in list is there in tuple. So that's the thing. And tuples are immutable, as I told you. We cannot change the value of tuple. If we try to execute this code, this will show an error. So see, type tuple object does not support item assignment. This shows an error since tuples are immutable. Over here the error is being shown. So if we comment this out, then we can see that tuple, this won't be showing an error because we are not assigning any value to the tuple. Okay, so this was on tuple. This was the basic things on tuple, and all the things like max, min, length, which we did on length, can be done on tuple. And in sort, tuples are sorted. Tuple, if we have this tuple, say for example, let me define a tuple T3. So to sort a tuple, you just pass the value of tuple T3 inside. So to pass, we pass the inside this sorted function of the tuple class. There are many more functions which I will be talking about in the later part. See, this is sorted from ascending and to this ascending order, and this is the thing which I wanted to talk. And this can be reversed also using the same logic. So it will be shown more in the tuples class. Now let me talk about the basic of dictionary. So dictionary is Control C, Control V. So this is the dictionary which I am going to talk about. And so dictionary is nothing but a set which has a key and a value. So in dictionary we have a key which has and a value, and this value is indexed by this key. So when we want to access any element of this dictionary, we have to work on these keys now instead of the indexes which we used to do in list and tuples. So let's run this. So this will be printed. So this I have done more. This is very basic of dictionary, and I will talk about dictionary in much more details in the further classes. And I have explained a bit more dictionary in the loops. So let me talk about loops now. So I should tell you there are many more functions of list, tuples, dictionary, set, which I will be showing in the later part. Not today. Today the thing is actually very long by itself, and the next classes, next tutorials will have each and every one of them. So let's talk about while loops. So why do we need loops? So loops are needed because we want to basically iterate. We want to do a single thing, a simple thing over multiple times, and for that we use loops. And what are the loops which we have in Python? There are two kinds of loops, while loops and for loops. So I have talked about both of them, the basic use cases of loops over here. So while loop, say for example we have a basic value of 10, and we want to calculate the sum of all the elements which are all the elements up to 10. So all the first natural numbers up to 10, what is the value? It is going to print over here. So that can be done very easily by going using a loop. So while I is equals to 1, we have seen over here. While I less than 1, I is equals to I plus 1. So each and every iteration of the loop, we are adding, we are incrementing I by 1, and we are adding the same in the sum A. So we will have the complete value after the loop is iterated. So see, here sum A is printed. So we can also do this, and using this you can see how many times the loop is being iterating. That's 10 times. Okay, so control V. So while loops can be used with else also. Else is like when while loop the condition exceeds or condition becomes false, then this else part is treated like this condition. When I becomes 10, this condition becomes false, and this else part is treated, and this else is printed. So it's similar, analogous, completely analogous to the last thing which we did. It's nothing exceptional. Now the for loops. So let me move this while loops out. Now for loop I have done the same for the first 10 elements. So let me do it for, like, it will calculate from 0 to 9. So let me do it from 1 to 11. So it will print the same value as we did in the for loop. And for with else also the similar pattern. If the condition becomes false, it prints the else part. So same thing is done over here. Now let me give you another example with this else thing. Else print condition. So let's do this. Yeah, see, condition over, it prints, and then 45. It's like if that condition becomes false. So it's like if and else only. With a basic difference. Now let's talk about we can iterate over the index of list. So that's why for is much more powerful than while. We can iterate over the index of list, and we can iterate over the elements also using for loop. That's the power of for loop. For loop is very powerful in Python, and it can be used on both dictionaries, tuples, lists, sets, each and everything in Python, each and every data type in Python. When we'll be talking about pandas is a relational database where we manage data and all in CSV and other formats, the normal data which we find. In those cases, for loop plays a very important part, and at that time for loops will explain much more. And if you see over here, it is being indexed over, it is being iterated over the list. So each and every element of this list will be added in this one. It is going over the index. So each and every index, what we have over here, like pop, rock, jazz, these things will be shown over here, each and every element. On tuples, it is similar to list. It's completely analogous to list. And in dictionary, I told you we have a key and a value. So we can iterate over the keys in the dictionary. We are doing it over here, like the keys. So what are the keys? Color, fruit, and pet are the keys. And after the colon sign, the value which is placed is known as a value. And before the colon sign and in between the comma and the colon sign, the value which is spaced is called the key. So we can iterate over the keys and not the values. And if you want to iterate over the values, then there is one function called iter tools or iterables in dictionary, which we need to call, and then we can iterate over the values, but for very basic understanding, understand this, that a dictionary can be iterated over its values and not the keys. So we have done that over here, and let me show you all the examples. So these are the things. That sum which is printed is over there. It is on the index and different elements of the list. It was on the elements, like each and every element is printed. And then we have the tuple example, and lastly we have the example of the dictionary which we have on the keys over here, this dictionary. So color key is color and the value is blue. So a of dict of key, we can access a value of a key in a dictionary by its key. So dictionary doesn't have an index, so it goes from the key. So it takes the key and it takes the value of the key and shows the value of the key. So I think that's all for today. I know today's lesson was very long, and let me paste this, and you can find each and everything inside the link at the first GitHub link where I have listed each and everything below. And for more information you can directly comment to me, or you can for any more queries you can directly comment me, and I would love to read your comments, and I'll talk about each and everything which you are facing problem. And please practice these things, guys. So I will see you on Wednesday about more things. So guys, I have claimed to teach you basic Python in 7 days or in my 7 videos, and I will follow 7 videos, and if you watch and follow all of them, then you will be coding like a good Python programmer in only 7 days. This is not being done by anyone in YouTube or claiming to teach Python in 7 days, and no one shares these things which they have learned, but I am sharing, since I am using Python for 4 to 5 years now, and I have learned this after using Python, and after learning 18 languages, I know 18 languages, I know different 18 languages. So after learning all those languages, I have gathered this experience, and I will be sharing, and I am sharing this experience on how to learn each and every coding language fast. So I have started first with Python, then I will be talking about Java and MATLAB and all. So I will teach you each and every language very fast, so that you can apply it. You can apply it in your own logic, and you can do the coding. And when you are done with the coding, you can you can implement the code in your way and have a thing made out of yourself. And after this, I'll be talking a bit advanced of Python after this 7 days, like lists, dictionaries, tuples, pandas, numpy. I'll be talking. Then we'll be moving to data science, data analysis, machine learning, artificial intelligence, image processing using Python, and I'll be showing much more projects. We'll be building apps, we'll be building web applications using Python, and that's my dream, to make you understand the power of Python. And we will be coding together. And if you have any queries, guys, please do comment, and follow me on my social media handles for any personal touch which you want. I comment generally on each and every topic which you ask me, and I will do the same. I read each and every one of your comments, and I'll do the same. If you have any query, any type of problem in doing the same, you can find the codes in the link below. So this was me, Subhra the Geek, signing off. I am very unhealthy today. I am very weak today. I have a very physical problem today, but still I wanted to talk to you guys. I wanted to do this code and all, so I'm doing it, and I think I have been clear. And it was your host, Subhra the Geek, signing off. Bye bye.